Welcome, fellow travelers, to this episode of Galactic Gourmet, brought to you by our good friends at Turbo Travel. I'm your host, Art Turbio, and today I want to talk to you about a recent visit to a quaint little pub in the Outer Rim called Oga's Cantina, serving exotic cocktails and delectable snacks. My travel mates and I headed out to the Black Spire Outpost on the remote planet of Batuu to see if this little watering hole really did serve the best drinks in the quadrant.
Galactic Gourmet is brought to you by Turbo Travel, the #1 choice for all of your travel planning to the Outer Rim and beyond. If we can't get you there, it's not worth going.
Last week, my team and I headed down to the local spaceport to see about getting a shuttle to Batuu so we could check out Oga's Cantina. Little did we know that getting there was going to be quite the adventure. Before our shuttle departed, I ran back into the port to grab a fresh battery for my datapad. On the holovision, there was a charming young lady talking to a small group of people and mentioning something about joining a resistance. Now, I tried to stay away from politics, but she had a sense of urgency in her voice. I made it back out to the loading platform just as they were starting to board. After takeoff, our captain was giving us some particulars about our journey when all of a sudden TIE fighters appeared out of nowhere, and following them, a Star Destroyer. We were caught in a tractor beam and pulled into the Star Destroyer and forced to disembark the shuttle. The hangar deck was huge, and I have to tell you, it was a little bit intimidating to see that platoon of stormtroopers there, staring at us, watching us. They marched us off deeper into the ship, and we must have walked for about 10 minutes before we found ourselves in a holding area with other travelers being interrogated by officers of the First Order. Now, we tried to convince them that we were but simple food critics writing for a travel blog, but they were going to have none of that. Eventually, they put us in a holding cell with some of the people I had seen back in the terminal listening to the nice hologram girl talking about the resistance. We tried to make a call on our datapad, but had no signal. Suddenly, one of the walls started glowing red, and soon a huge hole appeared. Apparently, those folks who were involved with the resistance thing had friends on the inside, and we were more than happy to follow them out. We hurriedly boarded these vehicles with a droid driver and started making our way through the Star Destroyer. It wasn't long before they realized we'd escaped, and alarms were going off and we were dodging stormtroopers and laser blasts. We passed through a huge cargo area that had giant military walkers, and then encountered this guy, all in black, with some type of laser sword, and man was he angry. We headed in the opposite direction and passed observation windows and saw this pretty massive space battle happening all around us. Around the next bend, there was Angry Laser Sword Guy again, who seemed even angrier than the first time we saw him a few minutes ago. Just as he was about to jump into our vehicle, a huge explosion rocked the ship, which gave us a chance to escape. We made it to an emergency pod and jettisoned away from the ship and down to a pretty rough landing on the planet below. Having no clear idea where we were, we followed the resistance folks to a nearby village. There was a ship parked there, and we went to inquire about catching a ride to Batuu so we continue our journey to Oga's for some much-needed refreshments. We lucked out, and the pilot of the ship, a Mr. Solo, said he could drop us at Batuu, for a small fee, of course. I was happy to oblige, but did ask for a receipt so I could expense it on my travel claim. I was a bit concerned that it was going to take a while to get there on this outdated-looking freighter. The pilot had mentioned something earlier about setting a speed record on the Keebler Run or the Kessel Run or something like that, and I was only half listening. Amazingly, though, the ship was pretty fast, and after one quick jump to light speed, we were above Batuu. Mr. Solo was kind enough to drop us off right at the edge of the Black Spire Outpost, and we quickly made our way over to the center of town and Oga's Cantina. We passed through the marketplace, which had the usual assortment of souvenirs and trinkets you could buy, but also spied a very unusual souvenir. And we continued on to Oga's. It didn't look like much from the outside, but once inside, we heard the techno beat from the droid DJ and could sense a magical vibe in the air. We used our datapads to access the menu, which had a large selection of tempting exotic concoctions, like a blue bantha, Dagobah Slug Slinger, Black Spire Brew, and many others. Our drinks arrived, and we celebrated our success and anxiously downed these tantalizing elixirs. My good friend DJ, T, ordered a Jabba juice, which had fresh eggs from the wart that was stored in the tank above the bar. A little too adventurous for me. We decided on a second round before starting to think about making our way back to the home office. This time we chose carbon freezes. This little pub in the Outer Rim truly lived up to its reputation of serving the best cocktails in the quadrant, and we gave it 3 thumbs up and our coveted
Best in the galaxy rating.
As we watched our drinks bubble and smoke, we toasted our luck and the new friends we had made today. I knew we should be getting back to the office, but I started to think about that girl in the hologram and all the adventures we had today, and wondered if I should find out more about this resistance. Well, until next week, as our new friends say, may the Force be with you.